You know, on Veterans Day, sometimes it's a good day to remember different family members and friends that have served in the military. I know for myself, when I was very young, at the end of the Vietnam War in the late 60s, I had three uncles that served in the Army. They went to Vietnam one after another. I still remember when the first one received his draft notice. I can remember the worried look on my mom's face and her sisters and my grandparents, knowing that this was a very difficult war and that many were dying in Vietnam and many would be injured. After the first uncle came back, the second one was drafted and also went to Vietnam. And then, if you can believe it, after the second one was drafted, the third one had a pretty good idea he was going to get drafted too, so he enlisted. So my grandmother went through having not one, not two, but three sons that went one after another to Vietnam. In particular, in my family, my son Lee enlisted in the Marine Corps following his graduation from high school. They cut his training short by about 2 months and shipped him to Iraq to be there for the invasion. When my son Lee came back from the first time from Iraq, how relieved everyone felt and how happy they were that everything seemed to be okay. But being that the country has been at war in Iraq and Afghanistan for 10 years, they trained him some more and then sent him to Afghanistan, another dangerous area. And I still remember going through that whole process again of everybody being worried about it. This was a little bit different war in that sometimes you'd get phone calls from them from the middle of Iraq and Afghanistan, and you would be talking to them about the most ordinary things, yet they were in the middle of a war zone. After he came back from Afghanistan the second time, he went again to Iraq and served in the Fallujah area, which at that time was a very dangerous area. And I still remember the worried looks from my children, his mom, and being very concerned about, was he going to come home and be okay? People serving in the military have been subject now to over 10 years of war in our country. They've been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan repeatedly in some cases, and some of them have come back with many disabilities that have required ongoing medical care and treatment. We do represent service members before the Veterans Administration on their disability claims, and it is important that they get legal counsel early on when they feel as though they have an issue with the Veterans Administration, that they're bringing a claim. It's important that they file paperwork early and that they follow up on the details early on.